It's Coral Gables, Florida, January 12, 1990. A man named Francis McKinnon is murdered during a home invasion at his Coconut Grove apartment. His stepdaughter, Dorothy Walton, watches it happen. She gives police a name she heard outside: Thomas James. Police find a man named Thomas James. They put his photograph in a lineup. Dorothy Walton points at the photo. "I'm positive of it," she says. "I will never forget his face. I will never forget his eyes." A jury convicts Thomas Raynard James. He is 23 years old. He is sentenced to life in prison. There is only one problem. He didn't do it. The man Dorothy Walton identified was the wrong Thomas James. The real killer, a violent criminal with an active arrest warrant, also named Thomas James, was never charged, never prosecuted. He walked free for 32 years. On the night of January 12th, detectives went looking for a Thomas James. What they found was Thomas Raynard James, a 23-year-old from Miami with no history of violent crime. His name matched. Nothing else did. No fingerprints tied him to the scene. No DNA. No physical evidence of any kind. But police included his photograph in a lineup shown to Dorothy Walton, and she identified him. What investigators failed to verify, and what prosecutors failed to disclose, was that there was another Thomas James in the system. A different man entirely, known as Tommy James, with an active warrant for violent armed robberies. He was the Thomas James that witnesses had named, not Thomas Raynard James, a chance coincidence of names. And it would cost an innocent man 32 years of his life. The trial took place in 1991. Dorothy Walton took the stand. "I'm positive of it. I will never forget his face. No other evidence. No physical connection to the crime. But the jury convicted. Murder in the first degree. Life in prison. No possibility of parole." Thomas Raynard James maintained his innocence from the first day of his incarceration, and he never stopped fighting. 1993. Appeal denied. 1998. Appeal denied. 2004. Federal petition dismissed. 2011. The Florida Supreme Court refuses to hear the case. For over 3 decades, Thomas Raynard James sat in Okeechobee Correctional Institution, filing motions, writing letters, watching the world move forward without him, while the real killer lived free. Nobody was looking for him. Nobody had ever really looked. The investigation that would eventually free him began not with a lawyer, not with a judge. It began with a journalist. In July 2021, writer Tristram Corton published an investigation in GQ magazine. The tragic case of the wrong Thomas James. 2 men, 1 name, a flawed lineup, and a witness who had been shown the wrong photograph from the very beginning. The article reached the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office, and for the first time in 30 years, the right people started asking the right questions. But something else had already happened quietly. In 2019, Dorothy Walton, now 79 years old, had contacted the Innocence Project of Florida. She had been living with something for a long time. She told investigators she believed she had made a mistake, that she had heard the name Tommy James, not Thomas Raynard James, that the lineup had been shown to her days after the murder, when she was in shock and in grief, and that the identification procedure had been flawed from the start. 30 years after she sent him to prison, Dorothy Walton said, "They had the wrong guy." In April 2022, the State Attorney's Justice Project filed a 90-page motion to vacate the conviction. They had reviewed more than 20,000 pages of documents, retested DNA samples, re-examined fingerprints, and found what 30 years of courts had refused to see: no physical evidence tying Thomas Raynard James to the murder of Francis McKinnon, not one piece. "We have determined," the Assistant State Attorney told the court, "that Thomas Raynard James is actually innocent." On April 27, 2022, Judge Miguel de la O vacated the conviction. Thomas Raynard James walked out of the courthouse. He was 55 years old. "This has been a long time coming," he said. "In the end, the truth always comes out." And then, "Now, let me go enjoy life." How does this happen? The answer is not one failure, it is four. A flawed eyewitness lineup, administered while the witness was in acute grief. A name confusion that was never investigated or resolved. A life sentence built on zero physical evidence. And an appeal system that denied justice 32 times in 32 years. Thomas Raynard James is not alone. 2,666 people have been exonerated in the United States since 1989. Innocent people have collectively served over 23,000 years behind bars. 69% of wrongful conviction cases involve eyewitness misidentification. Between 2 and 10% of all convicted individuals in American prisons may be innocent. Francis McKinnon's murder remains officially unsolved. The case was reopened in 2022. The real killer has never been identified. Thomas Raynard James is seeking more than $1 million in compensation. His attorney asked the question no one in the system had thought to ask for 32 years. How can somebody be wrongfully convicted just based on having the same name? 32 years. He will never get them back. No court ruling returns what was lost. And somewhere in Miami, the man who actually killed Francis McKinnon has lived free for over 3 decades, while an innocent man served his sentence. This is Vantage Dossier. We don't stop at the headline. We follow the evidence. Subscribe for a new investigation every week. The full dossier continues.